Hi, my name is Mark Booner. I'm a professor of psychology at Cardiff University in Wales. I've been researching how the mind works for many years, and I'm fascinated by how we make decisions. In fact, I've been teaching a course on decision making for 10 years. It's one of my favorite activities in my job, and pretty popular with my students as well. Recently, I came across an interesting challenge. I was consulting for another university and saw that for one of their classes, one of the assessments was for students to create a presentation. But not just any old presentation. It had to follow a specific format known as Pecha Kulcha. It's Japanese and in essence consists of 20 slides displayed for 20 seconds each and ideally without any words on the slides. The challenge is to tell a good story while adhering to these parameters. I loved the sound of that and could see how it would really exercise your creativity. So I wanted to see whether I could do it and tell a story about decision making. I wanted to combine my academic knowledge about this with my own life experience. And in particular, I wanted to explore the question of what makes some decisions harder than others and what can we do about that. Stay tuned for the next 7 minutes to find out and enjoy the show. So, what makes some decisions so difficult? Typically, in hard decisions, it's not obvious what the best course of action is, and the stakes are high, so you want to get it right. Well, here's the first rub. A decision is only ever right for you. What is best for you may not be great for the next person, so there are no off-the-shelf answers you can pick. No matter how much well-meaning parents who pester their children to study medicine or law may pretend otherwise. So back to the question. What makes decisions hard? I would say there are 5 things that make decisions hard. Firstly, it's often hard to get a handle on how much we value certain options. How much is that vacation in Italy worth to you? And I'm not only talking about monetary worth here, but also internal values. What are you prepared to give up for that holiday? That brings us nicely to the second thing that makes decisions difficult. Conflict. You may be able to only afford either a holiday or a new car. So your values of fun, relaxation and adventure may be in conflict with your values for comfort and security that a new car would bring. The third thing that makes decisions difficult is uncertainty. Nobody can look into the future, and it may seem like we have no idea what is going to happen. How likely is it that I will succeed if I quit my job and set up my own business? The fourth, and I think potentially biggest difficulty of decision making is when you are fretting about a decision that isn't even yours to make. Many times people think they have to make a decision, but they are not actually at a point where they are able to make that decision, or the decision they are worrying about is the wrong decision. Consider the teenager who asks, shall I become an actor or a particle physicist? Well, unless they have an acting contract and a job offer at CERN, then that's not a decision they can make. What they can decide, however, is whether to audition for the school play and whether to pursue acting work outside of school, how much time they spend on their physics homework, and whether to look at cool stuff like the Feynman lectures on top of that. To decide means to make up your mind and to gain clarity. And to have clarity, you need to know what the options are. And often we don't really know what the options and their consequences are. And that's what makes making the decisions so hard. The final point that may make decision-making hard is fear of commitment. The etymology of to decide is from the Latin decidere, which combines de and cadere, and literally means to cut off. Once we have decided on a course of action, we are leaving behind the other unchosen options. We might be afraid of missing out. Choosing A means not choosing B. But what about if we really liked A and B, but can only have one? Decision making really can be hard. So how can we navigate difficult decisions? Well, the first thing we need to do is to shine a light on these difficulties. Take a good look at them. Grapple with them, pin them down. An experienced psychologist or decision coach can offer you various tools that will enable you to get a handle on these seemingly ineffable values and those hard to quantify probabilities. Sometimes it's as simple as coming up with a good scale. On a scale from 0 to 100, where 0 is the worst tasting dessert you've ever had, and 100 is the most divine deliciousness that has ever touched your palate, where would you rate the vanilla ice cream from the small gelato shop in the town center? But other times, we have to bring out bigger guns to draw out how much you value something. Amongst experts, this is known as values or utility elicitation, and it can take quite some time. We only do this for really important decisions that are worth spending a lot of time on. Similarly, with probabilities, even the most imponderable possibilities will almost always afford you more than just a cop-out 50-50. If I asked you, what is the likelihood that England will win the next Football World Cup, you could come up with a pretty decent estimate after some minimal research, even if you knew absolutely nothing about football. When it comes to decisions where different values are in conflict, psychologists and decision coaches can bring to bear various formal tools and methods that really draw out how different options serve different needs and how important these different needs are to you. We call this multiple expected utility analysis, and it's actually pretty straightforward. Once you have worked out how much you value different outcomes and how likely particular outcomes are, we can put these in relation with each other, and a decision that is optimal for you according to your specifications will emerge. But before we can do any of that, we have to help you to make sure that your decision is correctly framed. Your decision coach can check with you what is and is not within your control, and where you actually have an opportunity to make a decision. Often this means identifying some actions that you will need to take to provide you with more clarity, things you can do to find out more about what is at stake and what the potential consequences of your choices are. Once you have done that, you will be in great shape to move forward and make your decision. Now, what about that dreaded state of paralysis, where you carry the burden of a looming decision around with you, allowing it to weigh you down day after day? Chances are this is rooted in an absence of clarity. Maybe you don't have enough information yet and don't know where to obtain it. Or maybe you have too much information and cannot navigate your way through it. Either way, a good decision coach will ask you the right questions to help you get on track. They can help you identify where you need to go to find the answers you need and how to prune away information overgrowth on your decision tree. I hope this has given you some idea what makes decisions difficult and what you can do to navigate difficult decisions, and where to ask for help if you get stuck.